Good evening, you're tuned in to Art Television and this is the State of Business. I'm Nishani Pigara. Let's first take a look at tonight's headlines. Sri Lanka records GDP growth during second quarter of 2017. And New Inland Revenue Act aimed at boosting government revenue, says Minister Iran. In tonight's main story, according to the Department of Census and Statistics, Sri Lanka's GDP growth rate for the second quarter of 2017 has been recorded at 4%. The gross domestic product for the second quarter of 2017 under fixed prices 2010 has reached 2.2 million rupees and the GDP reported for the second quarter of 2016 was 2.1 million rupees. The major sectors of the economy, agriculture, industry, goods and services under reduced taxes on products have contributed 8.2%, 25.9%, 56.6% and 9.4% respectively in the second quarter of 2017 under fixed prices 2010. During the second quarter of 2017, the economic services of both the industrial and service sectors have recorded a significant increase in the overall growth rate, recording a growth of 5.2% and 4.5% respectively. The agriculture sector, however, has reported a negative growth rate of 2.9% due to the adverse weather conditions that have been affecting the country during the last 18 months. As a result, the agriculture sector has reported negative growth rates during the last 6 quarters. However, among the 3 major economic sectors, the service sector, which gave the highest contribution of 56.6% to the GDP, recorded a positive growth rate of 4.5% during the second quarter of 2017 when compared to the same quarter in the year 2016. The Institute of Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka conducted a seminar on New Inland Revenue Act in Colombo today. The seminar was inaugurated by Chief Guest State Minister of Finance Eran Wickramaratne, and he addressed the gathering on the policy framework and highlights of the New Inland Revenue Act.
Participants of the seminar had the opportunity to learn how the New Inland Revenue Act will apply to them in various circumstances. A panel discussion was also held at the end of the presentations.
Our effort as a government is to fulfill a promise that we made in the run-up to the elections, that we want to hold all provincial council elections on one day. I would say still better if we can hold all elections on one day, but at least we have 3 levels of government that we could at least confine everything to 3 days rather than have it on different days. Sri Lanka could only rise to the highest levels of economic and social development if we are also able to resolve our fundamental issues of democracy and reconciliation. In the past period, the revenues collected by government have drastically dropped. Given our per capita income levels, it should be more like 18-19% of GDP. It's dropped to 12% of GDP, a dangerously low level. People ask me, why did you need an Inland Revenue Act? I say, obviously, we need an Inland Revenue Act because we want to collect more revenue. And revenue is fundamental in achieving some of the basic objectives of government. Governments have responsibility to maintain Sri Lanka's defense and territorial integrity, maintain our armed forces, maintain law and order, the police, the judicial system, and then basic social demands of the public, whether it's in basic education, health, and in social transfers to the less fortunate. And these can be achieved, and social stability can only be achieved by actually transferring wealth from those who have to those who don't have in an orderly manner. And taxation becomes an important part of that objective.
The Growth and Emerging Markets Conference, organized by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka together with the Colombo Stock Exchange, began in Colombo today. Speaking at the forum, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe highlighted the steps taken by the government to strengthen the country's economy.
It is fitting that the Colombo Stock Exchange hosts this event because it plays a crucial role in our national life. We are honored to host these events in Sri Lanka, and I thought I would outline the huge efforts that our government is undertaking to build a strong economy. Here in Sri Lanka, we are on the right track. We have strengthened the external position of our country by accumulating international reserves to better face global market vulnerability. We are taking a series of measures to increase non-debt creating inflows, particularly through the enhancing of exports and attracting FDI. We are entering into bilateral economic partnership agreement with a number of countries to enhance the market access. We have achieved the reinstatement of GSP Plus facility by the EU. We are strengthening institutional capacity in trade and FDI through the establishment of relevant agencies, and we are striving to improve the business environment. Improvements in trade facilitation are also ongoing. We will address greater exchange flexibility under the proposed inflation targeting framework, helping to improve the country's external competition. Sri Lanka economy is navigating through a period of transformation amid global turbulences. We anticipate as a result of this some basic investments to come into the area, including a dockyard, a refinery, steel plant, a cement plant, and a LNG plant, which will be one of the 3 government-to-government plants with different governments. 2 more plants will come in Colombo. There's a tender for 1 more LNG plant. So these are all monies that will come in next year, not looking at the other proposals for investments, including $1 billion due to come in to the next stage of the Port City program. We have to first and foremost improve and increase our manufacturing sector. Too much of emphasis has been given to non-tradable goods in the last 5-6 years. We are now utilizing a GSP Plus together with an FTA that we will sign with Singapore by end of the year. 2 more, deepening our economic relations with India and the China FTA will give us the markets. 1, it will encourage foreign investors, but 2, we have to ensure that Sri Lankan enterprises become more and more competitive. And this is what we are moving at. So logistics center, business center, manufacturing sector, IT and the other services. This is the drive to get the investments in, that we are in a position of strengthened economy. We will sort out our balance of payment issues, and we'll be in a better position to repay the debt.
In More News tonight, the 5th ADB Asian Think Tank Development Forum 2017, organized by the Asian Development Bank in partnership with the Institute of Policy Studies of Sri Lanka, commenced in Colombo today. Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partli Champika Ranawaka, delivered the keynote address at the inauguration of the event. The 2-day forum will be held under the theme Financing for Sustainable Urbanization in Asia and the Pacific.
Delivering his keynote address, Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partli Champika Ranawaka, expressed his views regarding the challenges of urbanization and how urbanization will affect the Sri Lankan populace.
Physical congestion and income disparity among the city dwellers are also key factors to be considered in financing our urban projects. However, some of these issues are relevant to some extent to Southeast Asia and the Pacific. In this background, it was estimated by experts that approximately 53% of the population in Asia will be urbanized by 2025. Therefore, countries like Sri Lanka will have many challenges and opportunities associated with this mass urbanization. Sri Lanka's urbanization holds some unique characteristics, mainly because it is an island, primarily the urban settlement that found along the coastal belt. Approximately 6% of the total landmass in the country hosts 25% of the population, and although the official Sri Lanka's urbanization level are stated as 18% based on the local authority level, the real thing, as per the International Monetary Organization standards, the population which uses the urban utilities is around now 50%.
The event aims to deepen knowledge exchanges among think tanks in the region and to develop relevant policy recommendations on sustainable urbanization by drawing perspectives from a wide range of development stakeholders. Speaking at the event, Country Director, Asian Development Bank Resident Mission, Sri Widowati, expressed the following views regarding the forum.
This Asian Think Tank Network and its annual development forum provides such an excellent platform for peer learning. At the same time, ADB can also acquire first-hand development knowledge and experiences here, which eventually will help us to serve our client countries better. Making cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable is one of the goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development as adopted by world leaders in 2015. On the other hand, urbanizations and cities are expected to play a crucial role as important engines of economic growth, especially in many of our developing member countries, including Sri Lanka, that are in transitions to an upper middle income country status. Recognizing the important catalyzing role of urbanizations, I'm sure many governments have developed ambitious urbanization plans.
Time for us to slip in for a short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching The State of Business. Deputy Minister of Policy Planning and Economic Development, Harsha De Silva, noted that the structural reforms should be formulated in the trade sectors in order to make Sri Lanka the hub of the Indian Ocean. He also emphasized that para-tariffs and other protectionist taxes which slow down the growth of the export sector should be reduced. The Deputy Minister made these statements while addressing the media at the Sri Lanka-USA Business Council of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce seminar on the US GSP program.
The US GSP program promotes economic growth in the developing world by providing duty-free entry into the US market for goods imported from beneficiary developing countries. As a beneficiary country, Sri Lanka is able to export over 3,500 different products to the United States duty-free. US companies and customers benefit from the GSP program because the products that they purchase under GSP are exempted from import tariffs, which can range between 2% to 20% of the item's cost.
All what we want is to create jobs that pay good salaries, get those people employed at higher paying salaries. So that's the difficult question that we as policymakers have. But unless we sort of figure out what is sustainable for us, what is going to take us to the next level of growth, we will be sort of stagnating in this what I call low level equilibrium, where we will be at $4,000, $5,000 a year per capita GDP. Of course, Colombo is a different country almost. I think it has about 15,000, 20,000 per capita GDP. If you really want to take Sri Lanka to the next level, if you want to have a structural break and move to a different growth path, you have to do many more things to our economy, to reform it and to create that ecosystem that will throw out job opportunities, that will pay $100,000 a year. People will be well employed, doing competitive jobs, competing with Singapore and cities in America and Europe, not competing with cities in this part of the world. That really is not path to success. What is restricting imports to Sri Lanka? We have some of the highest tariffs when it comes to imports, not in terms of tariffs, but if you look at what are called total protection rates. According to the agreements we have signed with WTO, GATT and so on, we have maintained certain tariffs. But on those tariffs, we have put all kinds of para-tariffs. You have various other levies and fees that have to be paid on top of those tariffs that have made total protection rates very high.
Let's take a look at how the stocks performed today after this break. Welcome back to the show. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all share price index gained 24.84 points to close at 6,452.91, and the S&P SL 20 index gained by 23.73 points to close the session at 3,716.25. Turnover was 1.5 billion rupees and 33 million shares were traded. And now let's take a look at the day's forex rates. And with that, we wind up for tonight. Do join us again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening.